Don't check your social media right now, check your bank statement. Because between the time you went to sleep last night and the moment you opened your eyes this morning, you were systematically robbed. Not by a thief in the night, but by a completely legal, automated, and invisible system that you eagerly agreed to. Your cloud storage charged you at 2 a.m. Your sleep tracker billed you at 3:15 a.m. You walked to your kitchen to brew coffee that arrived at your door on autoship. You get into your car, turn on the heated seats, and suddenly realize you don't actually own those seats, you just pay $18 a month to unlock the software that controls them. By 8 a.m., before you have spoken a single word to another human being, you have successfully rented your data, your comfort, your transportation, and your ability to do your job. Welcome to the end of ownership. For the last 10 years, you have been sold a masterpiece of a lie. You were told that the subscription economy was built for your convenience. You were told it was about paying only for what you use, avoiding massive upfront costs, and getting seamless updates. But that was just the bait. The reality is that Wall Street and Silicon Valley have quietly executed the largest wealth transfer in modern history. You are no longer a consumer. You have been downgraded to an asset. You are an annuity. And if you think this is just about Netflix or Spotify, you are missing the terrifying bigger picture. Think back to how money used to work just a decade ago. You walked into a store, handed over $100, and walked out with a piece of software, a DVD, or a household appliance. The transaction was over. You exchanged your hard-earned money for physical property. It was yours forever. You could use it, break it, fix it, or sell it. But corporations absolutely despise finality. If a company wants to increase its profits next year under the traditional model, they have to actually invent something better. They have to convince you to open your wallet all over again. That requires innovation, and innovation is incredibly risky. Wall Street hates risk. Wall Street demands absolute, predictable, unyielding growth. So, they engineered a cheat code. They realized that human psychology is deeply flawed when it comes to long-term math. If a company asks you for $300 today, your brain triggers a pain response. You will deliberate, you will budget, you will hesitate. But if they ask you for $9 a month, your brain barely registers it. It feels like the price of a sandwich. The industry calls this frictionless billing, but a much more accurate term is financial anesthesia. They bleed you so slowly, and in such microscopic increments, that your financial defense mechanisms never activate. This isn't an accident, it is a meticulously calculated psychological operation designed to bypass your logic and guarantee their revenue. To understand the sheer scale of this corporate takeover, you have to look at the one metric that dictates everything in the financial world, annual recurring revenue, or ARR. In the eyes of a Wall Street investor, a company that sells a fantastic product once for $1,000 is a dying dinosaur. But a company that rents a mediocre product for $100 a year? That is a goldmine. When revenue is transactional, a company is valued at maybe 2 or 3 times its earnings. But when revenue is recurring, locked in by auto-renewing credit card charges, investors will value that exact same company at 15, 20, or 30 times its earnings. Look at the software industry. When massive tech giants stopped letting you buy software on a disk and forced you to rent it from the cloud, customers revolted. There were massive petitions and boycotts. But the stock market rewarded these companies with hundreds of billions of dollars in new valuation. Their stock prices exploded by over 1,000% in a matter of years. They didn't invent a better product, they just weaponized the billing cycle. Once the rest of the global economy saw this happen, a brutal new mandate was handed down by investors: shift to subscriptions, or we will strip your funding and bankrupt you. Turn your customers into permanent subscribers, or die. Now, you might think you can just outsmart them. You tell yourself you can just cancel when you're done using it. But the system is already 3 steps ahead of you. The entire subscription economy relies on a ruthless mathematical formula: push your customer acquisition cost to the absolute floor, and stretch your customer lifetime value to infinity. They do this through a concept called dark patterns. Have you ever noticed that it takes exactly one click and facial recognition to sign up for a service, but canceling requires navigating an absolute labyrinth? You have to log into a desktop browser, find a hidden menu, click through 3 different guilt-tripping screens, and sometimes even make a phone call during specific business hours to speak with a retention specialist who is trained to not let you go. This is intentional friction. They are betting that your time and your patience are more valuable than the $10 they are taking from you. But their most profitable weapon isn't friction at all. It's your exhaustion. The industry thrives on a demographic called sleepers. These are millions of people who pay for services they haven't used in months. You sign up to watch one specific documentary, you finish it, you forget, and 6 months later you've spent $90 on nothing. You are no longer paying for a product or a service. You are paying a monthly tax on your own forgetfulness, and entire billion-dollar empires are built on this exact human flaw. If this infection had stayed confined to digital pixels and software, it might have been manageable. But software is invisible, and corporate greed is infinite. The subscription model has violently breached the digital wall and invaded the physical real world. For years, we were promised that the Internet of Things would make our homes smart and our lives easier. Connect your fridge, your printer, your thermostat, your washing machine, and your car to the Internet. We bought the lie. Connectivity wasn't about your convenience, it was a Trojan horse for their control. You buy a physical printer. You own the plastic, the glass, the internal motors. It sits in your house. But the moment you put a cheaper, third-party ink cartridge inside, an internet-connected firmware update instantly bricks your machine. The manufacturer literally holds your physical property hostage until you subscribe to their official, overpriced ink delivery service. The automotive industry is executing the exact same heist right now. You buy a brand new car. It rolls off the dealership lot with heated seats, adaptive cruise control, and remote start already physically installed inside the vehicle. But you are locked out of using them. To turn on the hardware that you have already paid for, you must pay a monthly subscription fee. Automakers realize that selling a car is a one-time event, but locking the hardware behind a digital paywall turns your driveway into a rolling ATM. This completely destroys the fundamental concept of property rights that has existed for all of human history. When you buy a physical object, you are supposed to own it. You are supposed to have the absolute right to modify it, repair it, or sell it to someone else. But the subscription economy is actively assassinating the secondary market. You cannot sell a used digital movie. You cannot pass down a software license to your kids. You cannot resell a smart appliance if the manufacturer arbitrarily decides to stop supporting the app that makes it function. You are merely buying the temporary privilege of housing a corporation's hardware on your property, while they charge you rent to turn it on. You own the metal, but they own the utility. We are watching the complete eradication of ownership in real time, disguised as technological progress. When you zoom out and look at the macroeconomics of this shift, the reality is staggering. We are moving rapidly backward in economic history. Centuries ago, we lived under a system called feudalism. The vast majority of the population owned absolutely nothing. They lived on the lord's estate, they farmed the lord's soil, and they paid a massive percentage of their labor simply for the right to exist in that space. Today, we are building a hyper-efficient, digital version of that exact same system. It is called rent-seeking. In economics, rent-seeking is when an entity extracts continuous wealth from you without actually creating any new wealth, value, or productivity. When a company charges you indefinitely for access to code they wrote 5 years ago, they are rent-seeking. When a tractor company forbids a farmer from repairing his own tractor and forces him to pay authorized technicians a premium, they are rent-seeking. We are entering an era of digital serfdom. The promise of this economy was absolute freedom from the burdens of ownership. The reality is inescapable, perpetual debt that you can never pay off. We are rapidly approaching the breaking point. The landscape is completely fragmented. You don't have one expensive cable bill anymore, you have 9 different streaming bills that add up to double what cable ever cost. You don't buy video games, you rent access to a rotating library that can disappear tomorrow. You don't buy your razors, your toothbrushes, or your clothes, they are mailed to you on a tier system that you can never escape. And every single month, those prices quietly tick upward. $1 here, $2 there. Because the algorithm knows precisely how much pain you can tolerate before you finally hit the cancel button. This is infinite, unyielding inflation, hard-coded into the very fabric of your daily survival. We have voluntarily surrendered our right to own things in exchange for a little bit of convenience, bleeding out our wealth microtransaction by microtransaction. The system is working exactly as it was engineered to. It is systematically transforming your entire life into a continuous, unbroken stream of revenue for someone else. But this leaves us with one final, terrifying question that you have to answer for yourself right now. If your tools, your transportation, your entertainment, and the very appliances inside your home can be deactivated the moment your credit card declines. When all your transactions are temporary, and nothing you hold is actually permanent. Do you actually own your life, or are you just renting it? If you want to understand the hidden financial systems controlling